Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret. It is time for another Vlog Talk variety vlog where I just catch you up on my life, and that does sort of include some of the projects that I've been working on, and then of course we've got some major things happening in the lives of the Olanders, so we'll catch you up with that too. Funny thing though, and I do worry, by the way, that this is going to be a long video, so do make sure that you have some tea or some coffee handy and a good project probably to work on. But funny thing is that I did film some things that I wanted to put up, and I was going to edit it on my last trip to Dallas. That was last week. I just got back Sunday, as a matter of fact. Yesterday was Monday, Labor Day, today is Tuesday. I had every intention of editing that video and getting it up while I was gone on my trip. I was gone for an entire week. But let me tell you what, that trip was so jam-packed and was a little bit stressful for me because I was picking out everything that would go into our new house that we're building all over a 4-day period. And then I left and Maggie and I went wedding dress shopping, which I will not show you what she picked out because she's keeping it a secret from everybody, even her good friends and bridesmaids and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of fun. But big decisions were being made, and I personally find any decisions kind of stressful. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to interrupt my previous self, my past self, and fill in information that was unknown at the time, or correct myself of something that I thought was going to happen or whatever, and we'll take it from there. So past me needs to step in now. Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret, and I am sitting outside today because the temperature is so nice. Now granted, it is a little bit overcast and I hope it doesn't rain on me, but it's just so nice. I have a towel here because there's so much dew, and I think it must have sprinkled earlier, but I just enjoy the weather. I can't believe it's almost fall, believe it or not. So I have notes here on my computer. I am leaving in a few hours to head back to Dallas. And if you don't know what's going on in my life, go back and watch that video where Kitty hosted it. And that will kind of catch you up on our lives and what the big events are that are going on. So I have a couple of important things that I have to do out there, and I am leaving in just a bit. I'm taking this with me so that I can edit it while I'm on the road because time is at a premium these days. And clearly that didn't happen. And speaking of that video, I want to thank the people who said very kind things like, "What a great imagination." That sounds a lot better than what I was thinking, which is, I'm just flat out goofy. Because you know how I am. I get tired of doing the same thing over and over again, so I'm always changing. Remember, I love to learn, change, grow, and evolve, and I think that's important. Or otherwise, you're kind of just, you know, decaying. Blech. Okay, questions. I have had a lot of questions and they keep coming up, same questions over and over again, so I thought I'd address them here. One thing is people say all the time, will you do a video for blah, 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 blah? Well, in some cases it's a great idea, and I could certainly, you know, put that on my queue when I have time to sit there and do that, but the key thing is time. When I make videos, I usually don't just upload what I film. I edit, and it's hours and hours of editing just to make things go more smoothly, a little faster. I do a lot of pausing when I talk because my mind races forward and then my mouth has to catch up, so my mind has to rewind. It goes like that. So I often do a lot of cutting out of things like this, where I pause to think of my next words. Not to mention the fact that if I'm discussing something that I want you to understand, I want to find and search out pictures to put up, or take the pictures to put up while I'm speaking so that you could see what I'm talking about. And something that I left out that I think is incredibly important for me to explain to you, when a tutorial is requested, tutorials also take me a really long time, is because I have to shoot it sometimes from different angles so that you can truly understand what it is I'm trying to do. Many people sit down and follow a pattern, do the tutorial, and you're just supposed to learn by watching them. And that's great for a majority of people. But I'm thinking in my head when I do a tutorial that it's for the rank beginner. And so there's things that are very helpful for you to understand. For example, if you know where you're going, for example, I show you the finished project or the finished point that I'm trying to explain, then oftentimes it clicks so much easier for you to understand what the process is to get there, other than just blindly following me without understanding what your goal or intent is. So my tutorials take days, hours, days, that were seriously to put together. So anyway, here I go. In YouTube, I don't see the value of a talking head per se. That's what they call it when it's just a person talking, just their head talking. In other words, don't just say it when you can show it. For instance, someone might say, you know, when you take a piece of yarn and you do this, and no. Show me what it is. Or when I'm talking about an image of, and I made a hat, show me the hat, that sort of thing. Otherwise, you may just be doing a podcast. Oh, and that's another thing. Only the yarn world calls a video a podcast. You usually have to specify video podcast. Anyone else thinks a podcast is audio only, and you download it from iTunes and stuff like that, you know. So just to catch you up on the techno lingo, if you're not going to show it, you might as well be doing a true podcast. So I like to show you what I'm talking about, and that often takes a lot of time. So will I do a video for blah, blah, blah? Well, possibly if I can, but understand that it's a lot more into it than just sitting down and doing it and being done. Why don't you wear shorts in public? I've said that on several occasions, and I don't wear shorts in public. People are constantly questioning me on that. Some people say, you have a good figure, and I'm, oh, thank you, that makes me blush. It's not about that. There are other things like spider veins, and I don't know. Yes, I could wear longer shorts, but right now the trend for women is a shorter short, and that's fine. I mean, I'll wear it around the house, or maybe I'll run to Walmart real quick or whatever, but to wear a longer short when it's not the style, that's going to age me even more, you know. So what you do is just avoid a trend altogether. And then I wear the little short skirts, which give me the coolness in the summertime and that sort of thing. And I look a little bit more put together than an aging person wandering around in short shorts. I just don't like it. So that's my answer. And before anybody pipes up and says, you can wear what you want, just be comfortable. I am wearing what I want. I am comfortable doing that. So that's my style, that's my choice, that's what I do. So, see, I am doing exactly what I want. Now, another question that comes up a lot is, how do I clean? I've even had the word sanitize the clothes that I get from Goodwill in my remakes. Well, just tossing them in the washer is pretty much what I do. It's not a big issue to worry about. And I did answer this question at length for somebody recently. And bottom line is they're not filthy clothes that you're picking up from thrift stores. There are people who work there that are sorting the stuff as it comes in. If somebody is unkind enough to donate yucky stuff, it doesn't ever make it to the floor. So that's one thing. Another thing, that if this was germy, as some people tend to think that germs are going to be spread through this, if it were that germy, then all the millions of thrift store workers would be sick all the time. We'd have the CDC in it. If you're not from America, that's the Center for Disease Control. We would have the lawyers, everybody would be suing everybody, and thrift stores would be outlawed because that would be a danger to spread pathogens in that manner. And that just doesn't happen. And so shortly after I was answering this question yet again, we go on our Disney World trip. And the whole time I was there, because that had been on my mind, I'm looking around thinking to myself, this is the way so many pathogens are actually transferred. Most things are skin-to-skin contact, but there are airborne illnesses. There are moisture-borne illnesses, viruses and whatnot that get, in sweat. So think about it. I was in the airport, and I was watching these people with long fingernails wash their hands. I was waiting in line to wash my hands. And they go, swish, 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 boom. Now, if you could know how much gets under your fingernails, you would know very well that truly long fingernails, to truly get them clean, you would need a nail brush and all that kind of stuff. If we were that worried about germs that we wouldn't buy something from a thrift store, then we really wouldn't be out in public. We would only be washing our hands with that antibacterial stuff that surgeons use. It's just, I don't know, it's just not that thing. We were standing in line behind a little girl. She was for preteen, and she had those long fingernails too, and she was standing there with them in her mouth. And Maggie and I were just totally grossed out. That's just yuck. We're both germaphobes. Public restrooms in general. I did this study back when I was in college, and we talked about how germy it was, just the faucets and stuff like that. So if they come on and off by themselves, that's good. If you have to touch the paper towel holder in any way, or the door or anything like that, there you go again. So sometimes you need to evaluate the restroom that you're in and maybe not wash your hands, but go out and use a hand wipe. We use an antibacterial hand wipe in those instances. We actually will even wipe off the tables and when we sit down, and yeah, we're germaphobes. We sit in the airplanes with recirculated air. Talk about airborne illnesses. Ugh. I tell you, sometimes you need to go in and just wipe down door handles, TV remotes, things like that. If you travel a lot, it's probably a good idea to do it anywhere. And then just sitting next to people in the crowded public transit system, or like in Disney, they say, everybody push forward and fill in all the available room. And you're standing right next to people you do not know who may or may not be sweaty. And if you compare what you do on a day-to-day basis with getting clothes from a thrift store, you would immediately go, oh, I see, there's not a risk. So there you go. And here's something. I always just wear small studs. I don't wear any big earrings. And I get this craft newsletter that pops up ideas all the time, and I saw these crochet earrings, and immediately I thought they looked like an Addy machine. And I thought there might be some person with a fun style that might like to make themselves some Addy earrings, because this is exactly what this looks like to me. Now, as far as my crafts go, I have knitted a hat for Kitty, and when I say I'm knitting for Kitty, the doll, I'm actually knitting for Sister Margaret Mary. And information for how you could help Sister in her fundraising efforts by crafting and sending her these things will be put in the description box below if you want to join us. I've mentioned it a billion times before, but sometimes a new person, welcome if you're new, might be seeing this for the first time and might be interested in doing that. So check the description box. You probably couldn't see it from back there, but basically what I made was a ribbed hat. I just hand knitted this ribbed hat, which is 2 knits, 2 purls, and goes all the way up like that. Makes it really, really stretchy, which is kind of fun. And I've mentioned this before, but if you are knitting or crocheting for an American Girl doll, an 18-inch doll, then you'll want to look at any size for a brand new newborn baby, human baby. That's what fits these dolls. So I just realized that I didn't introduce you to what appears to be Kitty's friend. It's actually more like her cousin. This is Felicity, and Felicity is on loan to me. She belongs to my good friends who are living in Dallas. This was their daughter's, and they're keeping it for future use for grandchildren. And I brought her home so I could see how my sizing of the clothes that I'm making compares to an actual American Girl, since the doll that I've been using is the one from Walmart, a My Life doll. And if you don't know, I'm donating these clothes that I'm making to Sister Margaret Mary for her fundraiser. The clothes I'm making will fit Felicity, but here's the deal. She is an old Pleasant Company doll before American Girl was sold to Mattel. They have since changed their body types. The American Girls today are much more along the sides of what Kitty is. They're a little bit longer, they are a little bit thinner, but bottom line is these simple patterns that I'm using will fit them all. So that's good to know. With the exception of this one pattern, let me insert a clip here. Now there is one blueprint class that does doll clothes for 18-inch dolls, and you get a reversible top, you get a skirt with a ruffle, and you get a pair of capris. Now I wasn't keen on this top, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway, and that's when I came up with this. Now I don't like it, and I don't think this is going to go to Sister because number one, I messed up the snaps right here, and I did like the idea of snaps because it added color to make it look like an outfit. But to me it was just entirely too short. I didn't like it at all. Now granted, Kitty's measurements, she's the doll from Walmart, she is slightly different from an American Girl doll. That needs to be considered as we evaluate this pattern. But I went ahead and added the ruffle, which I thought was a cute touch. I did like that, but it just does not fit her right. If I turn her to the side here, you can see that it's too tight at her shoulders right here, and yet we get a great big gap right here. Now I have some measurements of the American Girl dolls, and of course I can measure Kitty myself to see the difference, and the differences are not so great that this should be happening. So I really wish I could get my hands on an American Girl doll just to see, but I might check with my neighbors across the street and see if they have one lying around. But regardless, I just wasn't pleased with that at all. I mean, can you see how much gap there is right there? Now, it's worth noting that if I do pull it out past her shoulder blades a little bit like that, you stand up straight, Kitty, and pull it out like this, that it's better. So, I mean, it's not totally horrible. I surely could have done better right there, but, well, there you have it. You know, I always show you things I'm proud of, but I show you things that I'm not thrilled with as well. So, I think I'll try again. So I've done a little investigating. Here were the pattern pieces that came from that. I thought it was entirely too short. Actually, I think I added about a ½ inch to the piece, and this would be enough for the hem allowance down here. So that's why it looks so long. But I pulled the pattern pieces out and compared it to another American Girl. This was a free pattern, by the way. And so look at the difference in the armhole. I mean, that's why it was fitting so tightly on her, is it was just cut too small. So that explains that. And then another issue with this back was that it's too wide. It had this huge gap in it. And when I compared it to this American Girl piece, if you look at it like this, you think, oh, well, that's kind of strange because it's about the same width from here to here, right? Well, not exactly. There's about a ½ inch difference because this is meant to be sewn together. So there's a ¼ inch seam allowance worked into this. This is placed on the fold, so you don't have that seam allowance. So that explains, it's actually, by the time you take the two seam allowances out of this, you're going to end up losing about a ½ inch across the back. And a ½ inch on a doll is a lot. So I think this pattern piece is just cut wrong. So what I did was created another one. I used these pieces because I know that we have more room in this top, that it fits better. And I modified them to be an open front top. And I also lengthened it so that it would hit shirt tail length instead of, you know, that crop commotion that I didn't like. So that meant I had to take away some seam allowance on this side so that I could place this on the fold, and I had to add seam allowance on this side so that I could have it open in the front. So I think I did it right. I don't know. We'll see. I messed up on the hem, and there's a few alterations that I want to make, which I still am going to try to do, but this will have to be reworked. All right, here is the new and improved top. It has a little ruffle down at the bottom, And I put some buttons on it. Of course, it's just Velcro closure, but isn't that cute? I like it. And you can see how much better it fits now through there. So I just like this pattern better. Maybe the other one was actually custom made to fit an American Girl doll, but this one is much more of a generic pattern. So that's what you want at a crafts fair, I think, because we don't know what kind of dolls they're going to have. So I like this one. So when I put this top that was just not fitting Kitty at all on Felicity, there is a small gap, but it is very small, if you can see that. And but it does fit her better than it did Kitty. So apparently the lady on Blueprint had designed her clothes based on the old body that is not made anymore. But you can see that this fits. Now I'm still not going to send this top to Sister Margaret Mary because I hate the way I got the snaps out of line, and it probably won't fit a lot of the dolls that are today. That's why I redesigned that top over there. But you can see that the shorts fit just fine. That's the pattern Kitty has on as well. And you can see that, you know, that's just not a problem. Apparently it's just this upper body that's drastically different in the older model dolls. And I just realized that I forgot to show you that the top that I designed, that I had, you know, adjusted, that does fit on old American Girl dolls too. So I think I got the hang of it. It fits everybody now. Oops, sorry Felicity. Now Felicity was wearing this little jumper earlier, but I thought it was so cute. You know, what do little girls love? They love dogs, animals, cats, things like that. And I had this fabric in my stash. And so that's this cute little dog outfit that I did for Kitty. And then next I did this one that is just, it's not reversible. It's just kind of a, you know, simple little jumper that you put on. I haven't put the Velcro on the back yet, but I will do that. But that's just so cute. I just loved it. So I will be probably doing some more of these because these are very simple. I can crank these out in a hurry, and I think they're so cute. If it depends on the fabric, because I think the fabric makes this very plain dress. So I don't know. Whatever strikes me at the moment, that's what I start sewing. That's what I start trying out. But I'm really getting the lining down. I'm figuring these things out, which I can apply to my own sewing later. I mean, sewing for myself. Now, something what I know I need to be doing is maybe some more winter clothes, because of course the craft fair is going to be in November, I think. We need to get all our stuff to her sometime in October. But that's the time to start thinking about winter. So I will be knitting or crocheting some more small hats and some scarves to go, you know, that way as well. So I think I need to try some long pants, maybe some jeans, and you know, stuff that's more practical for the colder weather. So but that's the plan right now. That's all I have time for, is to work on this stuff for Sister. And that's good, because that's exactly what I want to do. There is nothing I need for myself. I have plenty of donations that are going to human people that I have done. So therefore, this is perfect timing. And I'm enjoying it so much, I'll probably keep it up. Look what was on sale at Walmart the other day, but I didn't buy it. Kitty said she did not have time to sew. So I'm looking at my phone now, and just to see what to catch you up on. I picked out a lot of the stuff that's going in the new house, and strangely enough, it was very different from what I have chosen in the past. I'm moving into what they're calling transitional style. I was incredibly traditional through most of my adult life, most of my whole life, come to think of it, think of my parents' house. And now we're moving into a little bit more contemporary. I'm choosing colors in the grays instead of the warm browns that I have done, and I like it. So we were so fortunate to have the greatest designer helping us. My good friend Kathy was doing this with me. Thank goodness. I couldn't have done it by myself. And Kim, our designer, who we just fell in love with. She was so much help, and that was awesome. So Yeah, we got that knocked out. I don't know when the next time is they're going to need to talk to us, but it's a pretty impressive process. This is the third house that we've built in our adult life, and this so far is the process that seems to make the most sense. It's very, very streamlined. Another thing we got to do while there is my friend Kathy, who is living in this neighborhood already. She hired this designer that comes in and looks at all your stuff that you already have that you want to use, and then she has you come out and choose your furniture and stuff like that you want, and she of course is helping you through that. And then when you get all the order down, she makes you go away for the day, which worked out great because Kathy was with me choosing out stuff for my house. And when we came back to the house, it was all done like a HGTV show, you know, the grand reveal. And it was so fun, and it came out beautifully. Every room that they didn't do the whole house, but every room that they did was absolutely gorgeous. So that was fun to watch. Now, my next project, besides sewing all these things, was before Felicity goes back home to her real family, I'm going to be changing her wig out. That's what the hair is called on these dolls, is literally a wig, because it does just kind of affix to the head. There are YouTube videos all over the place that tell you how to do it, and it's not hard. It's not hard at all. And poor little Felicity, she was so loved back when Bailey was young, that her hair has just flat out worn out, so we're going to replace it, and Bailey wants to keep it in this color. So I got my two little red-headed girls over here, and I'm just enjoying having them. You know, I never really liked dolls when I was a little girl. It's been in my adulthood that I see their value. I loved Kit that Maggie had, and then Ashley and Bailey, our good friends that Maggie grew up with, they had Felicity and then Samantha. And I passed mine along. I passed Maggie's along because she didn't care at the time. But I am having the best time sewing these clothes. And I know that the American Girl craze that has been going on since the 90s, I think it was. I mean, the massive stores that they have, the American Girl stores, and you can book your parties and your birthday parties, and you can take your doll to the spa. She gets her hair done, and it's huge. So I hope that that these little clothes that I've been making will be sellers at Sister Margaret Mary's craft fair. But if not, they can certainly find a good home through donations and stuff like that, because this is still a huge hoopla. I don't want you to think that I'm giving up videos. It's just that my life ebbs and flows, and right now it's flowing like crazy with all the activities that we have going on and the major events that are happening in our lives. So I probably have more to say, but I am going to cut myself off right this very minute because I've got to edit this thing, and like I say, editing takes a while, and I want to get this up as soon as possible. I love interacting with you people, and that's one of the best parts about the internet, is even though we're moving, our relationship doesn't have to change. It's going to be the same. So thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for my longtime viewers. Welcome to my new viewers, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.